Good morning. It is going to be, it looks like a beautiful Saturday morning, especially for November. But it is Saturday, so it's time for our Virtual Science Saturday. I am Krista Woodard with Osceola Public Library, coming to you live from home. So if you hear my dog barking in the background, just ignore. All right, today we're going to start a new series on density, which is kind of a hard thing to explain, and it might be a little bit hard for you to understand. But even if you don't completely understand it, we are going to do some really cool things. So that's the main thing. Okay, density is a word that we use to describe how much space an object takes up in relation to the amount of matter in the object or substance. Okay, if I completely lost you there, that's okay. Think of it this way. If I had a jar this big full of feathers, and another jar the exact same size full of marbles, one is heavier than the other, isn't it? The marbles would be heavier even though it's taking up the same amount of space. So density can be kind of like that, something that is heavier than something else that's the exact same size. So here's what we're going to do to illustrate that today. We are going to use some different liquids and some objects and see how they do in this, okay? So, okay, now I use a glass jar because it's going to be a lot easier for you to see the really cool things that we're going to do in here today. I wanted a skinny one because I don't want to waste too much stuff. So this will help me to use a little bit less of the things we put in there. Water. And we've used this one before, I believe. Some vegetable oil. This is a new one that we've not used before. It was calling for syrup. You can do like maple syrup. I decided it will work with both because I've tried both. But, I decided to go with the light corn syrup because you'll be able to see in there a little bit better. And of course, food coloring, which we do use a lot here. Now, for the things that I'm going to put in there, I did get a paper clip. And I took a plastic lid off of my a water bottle, I think, and some grapes. I have one red and one green, and they may not be able to see very well in there. They are old and they are wrinkly. They are too gross to eat right now, so they're going to be perfect for an experiment. Okay, to start with, we are going to adjust my camera so you can see a little bit better what we're doing. And I will hold this up at times so that you can see it more clearly even. I'm going to put about 1/3 of the jar with water. Maybe just a little bit more. Yeah, that ought to do it. And now I'm going to put some food coloring in there because, again, that will just help you to be able to see the different liquids in there a little bit better. And 1 drop of green is really all I need. Okay. And you'll notice that the water and the liquid food coloring do mix up together, right? All mixed in. So now it just looks like green water instead of a layer of food coloring and a layer of water. And you'll see what I mean here in a second, because the next thing we're going to put in there, I'm going to do this, try not to knock over. That is 1 big jar of oil. Okay. I'm going to pour it in now. See, you can see it okay, right? Here. I'm going to pour in about 1/3 of a jar of our corn syrup or maple syrup if that's what you're using. Watch what it does while I pour. You see the liquid level going up? But have you noticed something interesting? Let me make sure it's up here where you can see it. We put the water in first, and yet when I poured the corn syrup in, it went under the water. There is some density, okay? The corn syrup, even though we have the same amount of it as we do water, is more dense. So it is heavier for the same amount than the water is, and so it dropped below. So what do you think? That was sticky. I wish I had a towel with me. What do you think will happen when we put in our vegetable oil? Think it'll sink to the bottom? All right, let's watch and see. One more third. So we're going to fill this pretty nearly to the edge. Bubbly. Oh, okay. There we go. Now, did it sink to the bottom? It did not. It actually rose to the top. So clearly it is less weight per volume than the water and the corn syrup, and so it's floated to the top. And so here's where we do some fun stuff as well. Okay, so we're wondering how dense a paper clip is. I'm going to drop it in and we'll see what happens. You think it'll float on top? It's still going. You may not be able to see that very well. You may not be able to see it very well, but it is down here. It fell right down to the bottom. Let's see if I turn it around. Oh, maybe you can see it. There you go. Right? It fell right straight to the bottom. So it must be pretty dense. Okay, now we're going to try our grapes. We'll do the red grape first. Purple, red grape. Oh, dropped it right in there, didn't I? I just accidentally dropped it, but that's okay. Do you see what happened? It did not fall all the way to the bottom. It fell to the bottom of the water level, but it's resting on top of the corn syrup. So that's got to tell us something about how dense grapes are. I just want to put another one in. Let's see. Yep, see? There it is. It is floating on that second layer, in the second layer, I should say, but on top of the corn syrup on the bottom. Okay, I have one more object. Having a hard time holding on to things today. Okay, my plastic cap. All right, I'm going to kind of tuck it this way and see what happens with it. All right, so you see how that worked? That one just floated right on top. So of all of our objects, clearly the plastic cap is the least dense, for it is floating on top of the least dense liquid that we have, which is the corn syrup. Now, this can get messy, that's for sure, but it could be kind of fun to find a couple of other things, check with your mom first, that you can put in there. Like, would a marble sink or would it float? I don't have one, so I can't find out, but I bet you could. I did try some aluminum foil and took a small piece of it and I wadded up real tight into a ball thinking that'll probably sink. It did not. It floated on top of the upper layer. So clearly the aluminum foil was not very dense either. Okay, so there you go. Our first lesson in density, which was just amazing to me. So I hope it was amazing to you. We'll see what we can learn next week about density. I want you to go outside today and definitely enjoy the last of this beautiful weather before winter sets in. All right, thanks for watching with me. We'll see you next week. Bye.